Hey everybody, it is hay raking time. Thought I'd talk a little bit about the 1600 here that I start with. Boy, I guess I don't know a whole lot about it. My dad bought it at an auction, and I think the build card said it was originally shipped to Convoy, Iowa. Or was it Ohio? Boy, well, I'll put something in there. It had a Schwartz wide front end on it, which was like really ragged out. It was originally a narrow front according to the build card and the serial tag, but it was a diesel, and it's been a good runner, good tractor. Hydraulic pump's a little weak, but it gets the job done. Just a really nice tractor for doing things like raking hay, running augers, other chores. Great on fuel, good starter. Kind of my go-to tractor for raking hay. Pretty much that V-rake, a Gale 308 V-rake. Boy, you can make good time with one of those. They just pulling two rows in together works great for the round baler. Don't have to swerve or anything. You just follow the rows, and since the bulk of the material is towards the outside edge of the bale and you got some on each side, you just make a pretty much perfect bale every time. Tire is suffering from calcification. How am I supposed to rake hay? That'll fix it. Heartbeat of Oliver. Guess that lift cylinder needs some new seals. But as long as we're off the tractor, let's go look at some soybeans. Let's do a crop report from the other side of the road. Soybeans. They're looking pretty good. This is a low spot where it got kind of wet. But they look like they're gonna survive. Sprayer track. But other than that, they're about knee high on me in this spot. Bump on the other end, they were almost waist high. It's like good weed control, good stand. Here's a path, sprayer track, sprayer blight, a Japanese beetle right there. And there's a bunch more flying around. They love the soybeans. They are in bloom, lots of blooms, lots of pods getting set by the looks. Yeah, look at that. And it's July 20th, so there's still lots of potential for getting more height and setting more pods. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the way they look. Yeah, let's get away from the wet area, see if they get a little taller. Starting to creep up past knee high here. Not a lot of bug damage. I'm happy with what I'm seeing. Thinking about the Wisconsin Oliver nut. I don't know if you saw, I shared his video, but he shot some potatoes at me.
Oh, beautiful. That'll get to Michigan. Needs more juice.
Lower Michigan. Here we go, Chris.
And that kind of, well, I thought I needed some retribution. So see what you think.
Too much water, I think. I'm gonna go to the bathroom again. Shoot potatoes at me, will you? Give you a little shaken, not stirred Wisconsin Oliver nut. Chris! Chris, is that you? Chris!
20 minutes later.
What the hell's going on in here? Every single time I use one of these, someone shakes the shit out of it. Chris, is that you? Chris! I sure hope for your sake they've got the 2-ply in there.
One pair of pants later.
I can't even finish.
The inspiration for that is actually about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, we were in Iowa and for a summer show, an Oliver collector show, and the Wisconsin Oliver nut was there at a private collection that we were getting to tour. And I'd seen him just go into the porta potty, and just from what I had not met him at that point, but just from watching his videos, he seemed like a fun-loving guy. I went up and gave the plastic palace a little bit of shake while he was in there. Good-natured guy, got a kick out of it, and then put this video together that we just watched. Have a little fun with it. So lots of good Oliver content over at the Wisconsin Oliver Nut. Go on over and check him out. I'll put a link here, description. Yeah, these are, man, well past knee high. And once again, oh, that's just one plant. It's bushed out pretty good. Lots of blooms, lots of little baby pods. Hey, look at all those flowers. Well, hopefully it does good, because the market is saying they don't want our product. The price has been steadily going down, and the only thing that's going to make it profitable, or even close to profitable, is a good yield. So I'm glad to see this, because it's just depressing to watch the grain markets. You put all this work into it, do your best, grow a good product, and the better you do, the less you get rewarded. That's farming. But I'm probably preaching to the choir here. So we're on to the 1550 after, well, you saw. It's filling in, and this is a 1550 utility. There was a few things that made the utility different. It's not just this underslung front axle. The posts there, the spindles are shorter, and then the rear tires are shorter to get it down lower. This one I do know quite a bit of history on. It was sold new from Francis Platt, was the name of the dealership in Mason, Michigan. Not sure how much of that you can make out. Platt started the dealership and later on sold it to a couple of the employees, one of which was Bill, who, well, when Platt's closed, I think that was in '88, the auto dealer next door made him an offer they couldn't refuse, type of thing. And Bill would have either had to buy his partner out or take the deal. So he opted to take the deal. And of course, my dad found out about it right away and offered Bill a job to be our parts man. And he took us up on it and worked for us until we closed in '98. So, and unfortunately, Bill is not with us anymore. He'd be a great one to talk to about some of this stuff. I don't think he would probably want to get on YouTube though, in retrospect. But they sold it to a farmer in the Mason area, and he had it for some years, I'm not sure. And somewhere between him and us getting it, there was a foundry in my hometown, and this had a 1610 loader on it. And this was the tractor that they used at the foundry used sand, what do you call it, casting sand pile. And they just treated it like it was a battering ram, just pushing that sand around. Had a blade on the back, loader on the front. The loader's lift capacity had to have been reduced by half because it had so much extra metal welded all over it because all the times they broke it. Well, finally one time they pushed her too hard, and in the rear end where the reverse idler gear, there's a casting loop that holds the bearings and the gear there, and they busted that thing right off. And we had torn it down, but we ended up selling them a different tractor because it was just going to be a lot of work. And my dad and a friend of his tore it down before my dad passed away, and it was sitting in the corner. I knew it ran good. I've worked on it before. We put about a clutch a year, maybe 2 in it. The guy was just so hard on them, and we told them we wouldn't stand behind the clutches just because of that. They didn't care. Just bring it in, get another clutch in it, and get back to work. So I knew it was a good runner and everything, and the rest of it was good. So I put it back together, swapped out the rear end. In case you're wondering, a 1650 rear end is the exact same casting as a 1550, even though the gears are all different. 1550 uses spur gear transmission. The 1650 uses a helical constant mesh transmission, but everything fits in the same holes. We had a 1650 that had been on fire and totaled by insurance before my time. It had a corn picker on it, and they'd been using it for parts, and the frame was still there, and even the front frame is the same on a 1550 and a 1650. And they'd tried welding the loader to the frame, and so some of the frame was looking kind of ugly. So I swapped both ends out, put the engine in, put all the guts into this transmission. So it's still a 1550 transmission. All the parts from that 1550, other than a couple that needed replaced, are in this rear end. So it's almost 2 tractors, but so that's how we got it. Gave them some trade-in credit for it towards another. We sold them a 1650 to replace this. The rear wheels are filled with foam because of all the metal and stuff it would drive over. And they took the front wheels off and put them on the 1650 because they were filled, and did some swapping there. But as you can see, she needs some fenders. I found another hood and a new old stock underhood muffler. So that is, it does have a muffler. That's not just a straight pipe. Most of the utilities had that. And the other things they did was they kind of reworked the 3-point hitch. Normally those links go down on your row crops. It comes up on this to give more ground clearance. And then there was a different hitch to get the top link mounts up higher so that the geometry all still stayed the same. So there was more to it. And then they also had, I know one of these days I need to get around and do this and have a video on reading serial number tags. A lot of people get confused because they see model number and they think it's this one. They don't see the word serial number underneath, but model number is the top one, and I think they might have switched them around at times. But so 255, 55 in a 50 series means it's a 1550. 5 means it's a utility. 1 means it's a gas engine, and the rest code out for all the other options. Have not been able to figure them out. And serial number is 190417, and then the last 3 digits on this tractor is 506. That is the special transmission they had. I don't know if they used it on more than utilities, but 5th and 6th gear are faster in it. It's got a different ring and pinion in it to compensate for the shorter tire. So 1 through 4 are all pretty normal speed, but when you get into 5th and 6th gear, this thing scoots. and I was raking hay in 5th gear and in 5th direct. I had to have the throttle down pretty low to keep the speed from being ridiculous. It'll do over 20 going down the road, even with these 28-inch wheels. Yes, they're 16 9/28s. It rides terrible because those wheels are filled with that foam stuff, and there's not a lot of give to that. So any bumps you feel. It helps that I put a new set of seat cushions on it. I was able to, let's see, I did mention that I found a new old stock hood for it. The old one was pretty banged up from years of loader work. Side panels are original to it, amazingly enough. I don't know how those survived everything with, you know, fenders like this and a hood that was all crinkled, but they did. And let's see, the only thing I was able to find, this door was missing. I was able to find one of those. The rest of the sheet metal was there. So that's a special utility type of battery box down in there. She'd been a good runner. I thought, well, after the flat, I would throw the V-rake on it. It was easy to get to. Thought, I'll try it. And in retrospect, it probably won't stay on here long. Part of it's that whole speed thing. Oh, and then the 3-point arm is kind of worn too. It's missing its sway blocks, the ones that go on the arms. But the main thing is, with it being low profile, it can only lift this up so far before the top link hits the seat, which it was doing just a wee bit. And so I was not getting these wheels up high enough. When I turn around, they would often catch other windrows of hay. That's the word. And kind of drag them around. So a taller tractor is nice for that. And if you end up driving over any, with this being closer down to the ground, a big fluffy windrow might hang up under there. Generally, that isn't a problem with the V-rake here, because that's the part that you're raking into. But if you will go back and maybe re-rake something, or so anyways, it worked in a pinch. But yeah, I think something else is going to go on before the third cutting gets mowed and raked. Let's see how wobbly this fender is. It doesn't look bad at first glance. It's just a little tweak. That one might be rescuable. This other one, the sheet metal's ripped, welds are broke. It's not much longer for this world. Say a prayer for it tonight before you go to bed.